Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Nakeba president baronna te konton bake nyin soma nyin tribulo safa nyi wuralo la. Kontro ko la lafta nira kacha bake nakeba. Nyin kane kamfa de andu ka kamfa kama fo notin manko ke la bari nyin manke politiko te meme fo ke intende. Lafta nira kacha dindi na rakeba tema. Bar ni mal lan nakumo lo fana nyi audio mabo kana kude is audio nyi mabo bake la file kono. President Baro Hussein Dabo ka kumo men foye are kamfa fe rajabi. Bari mi fele audio do pele fan tulo ere tulo jin kumo la bakas keno ni audio do bije fe sa mele si tulo kasi mala fi kala meba walle bu kanyin do la me bante malo na keba ni dindin men fakata nyim police la ko wallahi karadantan ne beni la mansa atima pour mansa na ban nyim mansa ban ninga fo ile mo ka fi ne kana bemba danko nte mante la mansa bankande mo fana mante la mansa la bankande ntel benna protigol la ila mansa la bangbe alale bulu bare hadamaren de kilinti de mo do kam mo la saya jela man fa folo ala go londo di mo la woto pour kam mo la mansa la bang long o fanambe mo li kono le ala kam men songala ila mansa antenta bankande bar nakke bambe kumo men fole nya ni amiran ka tulun kumo le foye wala amiran ka politique kumo le foye e wa fa ala nyakas bembala nake ba ni wulita mansa sigiran kan yin police ol men ngin faga may na funde gambia kono manyin ko la seniya imanyin na seniya gambia kono president baro ni butam mansa leta duniya dawode be sorona andun ya jamme be sigirin banko ka be sigirin kilo kam mo men fagata in cold blood is too much intele kilima kalamuta hani de men jokuma le ma kalamuta bi te men be mansa ala bi be ya noto ma kalamuta de yaya wulirin ne itelegati arasi londi nyaga sojaro jagata sigi tele kono duniya be tulo be la ntele nga kare kunkuntu nga kare sopan nga kare faga nga kare kunkuntu nga kare kendo buru nga kare bula kolon kono nga mana buso ke nyin kunna nga bungi dola o kede nyala nakeba ijija ire balang ikana bo man se ala nga na nyin commission lu ni mo do na sigi nyin dula ko nyin dindila sa ko mo fu jande ko baro la mbula nyina de ma foyta ka kede mbe kumole fo kam bur jannibe jigila fero ke ganyin ko nyala bo bare ngalo le na figol be karle ba fo ngon ko nyaka sibe mbala ko be mbam na figolati bare te fanne ka fo en ko ndam na figol te manke na figiti de ntel be fa sala tumo no tumo ba be durim bakele ila maganya e kenya e mo sambanya wala gante boy noma nte manke jonti manke gidjan kadinti nte mo khoro dingneti mbulati no make fa sa ala nin kila le kamam be budo ma fan killing ngolo no binte ila kenya la gante boy noma andun te buleno ma fo saya ala gantar wala ga samba jahannama dante kono fereng bar mbe ko momen fole hanna tar ninte ku killing bar pour kaneje nyaado ma gambe kono sin tora sin niyo tora me konde ni men ke fana ko be mbaye ko fan yala fo ke nente me konde ila kula tambi nyala ga ke ngi kon woni ngi bala jati kon wala makliyade nyim parali mo fulo men farata janni be jigila fero ke ganyi la ko nyin investigative gambe dini ga kalamote kana e fantari malo kono lundo inti bola men kono bamba subo gandirin domo gadi ni ma nyin ko la funti saji nin ko tagata fo nyin ko ga bulo fa fo ite jigita ira komi sollon dinga na mo doje kana sigi tele kono ka fa dala duniya be tema ko baro la gambula nyinna he na ke ba fa mbekla ku dolti de andum bena audio prele fanga nyinna kumola me bak malo mimbe kuma kante manyillo barala kumola me bak yalo ni mo be kumala abe men boka da kono kana wala mede ala kumo jiba be ta kan nyamen na kumo be la kan nyon kan nyame anda be evidence landi kan bigo sabe mo gollel togol fokan killing abe men togo fokan ibare muso bo kono na killing fa killing ibare muso fanan dinke bo kono ga ding me gulu nageba nyimmanke politigoti mantare politique ma fokan jang ni politigol mum be nala ka fo gambe dinen kala kana bla baro be ten baro sagrin te mantare wo fokan jande ngo kana son irake je kun fuloti mansake abe kelebul haba mansura nafatala president baro ni mo menga security long aga security fahamu bak mo gana lo sojarol ma wala policeol ma anin gido mo fula ga be faga a minute aga do bunko barama borta kata mamutano wo manke moti men gido londe ni man gido lo mo nginin ka men gido lon so joro le be karale nginin ka e gido kenya foye mo men giso ga no ka gido muta pistolet mo fula ka bun a minute ka be landi in cold blood within seconds ka do bun o mo mo men ngalo he is very 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 professional for the job o manke mo for example bi Hussein Boja men fokante mo men ne man gido fay fereng aman gido lon fereng e gido muta bulo kono hanni ga falolo di falo ka ga bun asi foala surtout mo men ngalon ka gallo within a minute ka mo do bum pam 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 ka bela la once ke burkata ni manke mo luntante gido kono de ni manke luntante gido kono de bato ngana ni na audio play fangala audio men tanga men fo nimbe politigo la linga politigo kacha barni politigo banta membe kela sinin toroti boje na fatala andite sonta bang ibanta bang ila mansa anyi silo ma wote kala kotake ntele men be kuma kam politigo lan mantare jigindi kande ntele be la kole ita kan gambe ding le bum menti ani be men kekan ani banko be tembo menta bar mansa julo la kunton tentele bulde o be alale bulla baro mansa julo la kunto mogolu fanani be kering ika hadama dinna sayalo nyamen woli man kori ko long umu alala sondirolti bar jannimbe jam falam benani odi prelefantu lo gani odi me president baro nte manki jawti de mbote la patio kono ila kula tama nyala ke ngi haramu ke kon bar me bara jate konde kala gam millo kanya da ne kunun kili bilati dankunna bar jannibe jigla nyin sigiran kono pero ke ganyi la ko nyin investigate pour ga tonya fo gambe diniye ni man tonya fo gambe diniye mbesilandi menna wala mu ni bota je ngana mo do je sigirin tele to ka fo karnin kar la gambula nyinna na ke ba fan be kala kudol tide yo bar kudo kan te jagala me te jagal fonde bare tele mansati ni mansake be sigiri mem be ka foyi karala o be man ke nginti de kana hakilo bulandi nyaato ya jeme jannabe jigila mo golle be je meni galo ibe do ko ya koto woto me te lota e ka ya yala informational ta kana ditela foyi kan gina nyin kule bante malo ke manyi lo mo kilin lebe do ko la han sinin fen ngele la bun kono mo ka kala muta ngina ga ke ka kala muta ni man sabina jigle te la tam mella wolle ke la ko la fundi bar ya fan ni men be do ko la ya le wolni ya be do ko la ya ga fen planite kamma wolle ka boje kana gullo be foye nake ba kana ngina nyin ku ntambe tan nyin do lale di semtini te fan ni men be do ko la ija baale len gullo men beje fundi kanten iba kela mankin deli nyala deli nteji ini men beje wolle kala fundi andu mbesilan nyin ko la de amete sila marante sila de andu ngay lonne ko nim futata nyi lumma he nake ba nyi mekela kudol tide buru mo ga sigi tele to kotake ka foko nyin dindini men fakata paralu kari nin kar la gambula nyinna nyin la ben sila ndim bakede bare bara mete fan silang bare nyin nakuma kan na me baki ala me baki ma oto mo membe kere sina fam
bare mo ngal ngal konto ngal tol ngal konto so it's a Saturday, so we would just continue on the same conversation. But today, you know, Mediamo Damadara is to tell you explicitly the people that frame the United Democratic Party. Because case was before the court, and we had to let the court, you know, take precedence and allow the process to go on. Now that the court is done, and of course the fabricators and the liars and the criminals intend to go to an appeal court, of course they have a right to an appeal. But based on the judgment that Justice Jada delivered, it's high time that we mention explicitly the criminals and the fabricators. Yo, wala kono molbe je mini alonko president obadi wala mo. Wala kono mo jama be je police lamu walati we will examine facts on their investigations. And then the conclusion would be the government of the Gambia killed the cops. The market dalil kanamanga political tilimbaliani tajidinteyati. Where we are going to start this conversation today from is Korakabaro, Musa Kamara, Mama Jabi, Ibu Sow, Commissioner Sow, Yorosedi, and Babu Jeng, and Impate Jallo. This conversation will be focused on those names. Why would we want to focus it on those names? These are very key people in this particular matter. We would have to publicly apologize to them because we felt they probably did some wrongs when in reality they did really nothing. But a Kabirin Useno Tata, or before Useno Betala, Useno had a case. That's a blackmail case. Atata min report police oya. Mi alonko Gambia Mobe Sontaloko, he knows how to conduct investigation and he has got several breakthroughs. And wale atina kabirin atofo da nyin case to draw moja mako ota Useno Lonkato nyimu molete mi alonko abuka dadun kudo mi alonko investigation or mi alonko they are chala. But later on we realized that it's either this person was complicit in this whole matter or decided to do otherwise. But today we will put that on the table and have a critical look at things as they happened. Kabiring Mama Jabi Kate Useno Bojan Mutakasa Mas. Mama Momim follow command ala telephone. Wala mu korka baroti. Korka baro wala mu Adam baro bare musoti. Mama korka baro la follow commandi. And then the proper investigation. Now I am directing you to where to investigate. Ninga yatra kotonya nintilo alafta walla. Go and get Mama's call logs and then I kumandiro ke korka barola tumo minna nin lungo minna nin kasa masu number mimu alta ale korka barola telephone ota ali ajibe for Mama Jabi ya kumandile a day after this incident fama kumandi Mama e korka barola kumandi ka fa ko nyinni mo karentang wala mutajang korka baro e Mama ni atenata dingo kumandi mimu Musa Kamara tembe do wala kiare go and connect if korka baro ning Mama Jabi la call nyolu o call la for korka baro ni Musa Kamara mandiam and Musa Kamara then connected to Mama Jabi and then Musa Kamara mimu president wala nephew was the person who called the commissioner of anti-crime Momodu Sow. Now to verify these things or to think either I'm lying or I'm telling the truth, go and get the call prints of Momodu Sow, korka baro and Musa Kamara and Mama Jabi. You would easily know where this whole thing lies. Wallahi. Mama Jabi called Korkabaro. Korkabaro ya dingo kumandi Musa Kamara. Mimu president wala nephew. Musa Kamara called the commissioner of anti-crime Momodu Sow. Momodu Sow did not contact the police investigators and in police ulla mon mini alonko wolle ka kuoli jibe no mini alonko wolle be den tapaliani intilimbaliala. He picked a couple of his boys and went with them to Casamas and ninyi Musa Kamara to go and get Useno Goja. So DIG coming from Tole ko courts no la use wolda bota gelede ning commissioner of anti-crime is one of the leading criminals in this case. That is Momodu Sow. Momodu Sow should be arrested. Korka Baro should be arrested. Musa Kamara need to be arrested. But Musa Kamara ning Korka Baro wolmu Adama Baro la badi wonati awulu ding wolomiti. So do Adama Baro ma senea nyum koto. Mama Jabi called Korka Baro mi alonga ka tere kanun teolong. But kabira nata kiti bunga kama Korka Baro long. But Mama's first call to the Gambia in Casamas was to Korka Baro, and that could easily be verified from what court printouts. And Korka Baro called her son. Kabira adingo kumandi adingo nata Momodu Sow of anti-crime command. Wanata police in Ningol mobilized and in Musa Kamara. They went to Casamas and arrested Usenu Boya. But Usenu arrest to Momina. ene usenu natana babu jeng mi ya lon ko UDP ko ba fokan nun ko akela mulu buti anin pate jallo babu jenne tumiro la UDP kan UDP ko waral salon de nyim babu jeng kabirin tumo ko da mo dal ya folo ko nyim manke mo kendo dan wala mo to nyaade mo kendente babu jenne ko this person ya mim mutatenting was the guy in hoodie at the UDP court case in Banjul babu jenne ofo Allah ta kama jala wala tale babu jenne tumiro la UDP kan. And everything the police and Sankare told us was never from the investigation. It was his mindiata te tilimbalian in tagidinteaka te wonderful. And police only wonderful mindiate tolie wonderful. So Babu Jeng no more the miya long quite tumiro deng UDP la kavoko nyim mari de nyim mutanantenting. He was the person in hoodie at that UDP court case. The reason why they actually relied on that is because Babu Jeng was at that court case ka UDP ko bute. UDP ko murunta ka fa Babu Jeng benjo le tole. Nim Babu Jeng kin wala murunta ko ten ka ko seno bo janno wati miya long ko he's a security to Yankuba Dabo and of course he's the guy in hoodie. So UDP ko Babu Jenne tumiro lato lo kan ka ko seno bo jambe do ko la UDP la na UDP ko la na tele hoodie do kata kata o sute o tole. Kata tele be ka UDP ko bute nim Babu Jeng. But one would wonder, what is Babu Jeng's interest in this case? Because Babu Jeng is one of the two that the UDP was complaining about at the time. So it is the same Babu Jeng that actually turned around because UDP was complaining about him and actually claimed that, of course, this person works for the United Democratic Party. But let's come to the investigation. Put aside Babu Jeng, Korka Baroning, Musa Kamara, and Mokotong, Minialonko, ye found a quite a long investigator to a little long multi-minialonko, Yellow multi Adam Masakundanya, the Min Commandila. Ye investigate thoroughly and, of course, bring them to accountability. But he will not do that because these are the president's family members. So president wala family mambo nyim ko kono ala tapale ya nim tilimbali ya nim bataro min tamata je president wala family e kulo njele because president wala family was directly involved and no abe wala kono president o bare muso korka baro mi ya po min he was actually hosting mama jani and korka e min kumande min nim police ole nyim momodu so na la nyim tilimbali boy so tata kazamas wala mo nyim musa kamarati. But again, let's examine anti-crime la boss. Police will not in the normal policing language, all they tell you is you have the right to be silent or anything that you may say might be used against you in a court of law. There is nowhere, no any more police okay start interrogate. Police don't do that. If they are to effect an arrest on you, they arrest you, they expect you to be silent until you got to the point of investigation. But this is not what happened here. So this person who is the head of anti-crime in the Gambia, not only criminal and he is the head of anti-crime. Gambia has people who are in our uniform, who are the masterminds of criminality and banditry in this country. And among them is this Momodu Sow. Nim Momodu Sow balanta almo police olu atolo memo investigate almo Momodu Sow la nombalta aliete samba to actually check his call printouts because wal buka fan yako for Musa Kamara Momodu Sow call on the day of this day after this incident ka fay ko mama kate mono motagana and then it only Musa tara nyindula kata nyin come out. Let Korka bring her phone and then you look at the number that called her from Kasamaskata and then when they brought Usieno Samba Kasamba investigation Usieno Samba to the crime scene because min quite a people now talk to Usieno directly. Min quite a Usieno Bonin and Kasamas in another Kasamba crime scene to her Jannon and then took him to his house, Kirip Karakara, Befanya Kensen, and then they came out to actually lie to the nation. Everything they told us was not from the investigation. The people that organized the press conference, none of them was part of that investigation. So many who investigate were not part of the press conference. And everything that was told to the nation was a lie because it was not coming from the investigation. But I'm only adding that when the state had its 13 witnesses, the people who were investigating the matter, actually Moju Malaje, was an investigator into this matter. Ibu saw the mine all of Enanje, and Ibu saw Barata Minan Yukon to format Usain Bojan's phone. But the police, in their wisdom and in their manipulations, often they refer to some people as carrying on the so sign, police every time I'm constantly mentioning this guy's name, there is this guy that Usain went to and reported his case to, Yorosedi. Yorosedi, now with the list before me of the personnel, paramilitary personnel that went to Casamas to get Usain Boja, Yorosedi's name is not there. Oto Yorosedi was not part of the team that went to Casamas to actually get Usain Boja. And this is a person that most Gambians believe that he has, a lot of credibility when it comes to breakthroughs in investigation. And don't think a police will do call no. Yoro is a very credible person. I don't know why you think that he did this, he did that. But at the time, we understood that this Yoro Sedi and Usain Bojang had some issues to discuss about a problem that Usain was going through. And for Yoro to be part of that investigation, and then, for the script to be turned this way, Nata Fahamko, Yara Fang, all that we have been told, okay, Karanyol Ning Karanyol Lebenyundula, Yara Fang anti-crime Nila Molu da Malle Tata, Kazamas to get this person. Why did they not involve seasoned investigators into the matter? Why was the press conference organized by just senior police officers without the credible personnel who were involved in the investigation? Where is the investigation report? Mr. President, police will commandia for a investigation report or dira. It is son wala because ila dimbaya dadun dagele. So your family was involved in the in the criminal plot altogether. The president's family was directly involved in the criminal plot against the United Democratic Party. And you told me Miniake wala Babu Jenti. Babu Jeno Nyinti, the commissioner of anti-crime, is the biggest criminal in the Gambia. So if you want to ask us the question to say that J. Dabo need to tell us what he knew about the case or the